Hi, everybody. This is Ray. I'm at React Miami. I'm here with Mark Erikson. Thanks for sitting and having a chat with me.
Sure, happy to.
Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, who you work for, and what it is you do.
Hi, I'm Mark Erikson. I work for Replay.io as a senior front-end engineer. That's my day job. Outside my day job, I spend a lot of time working on Redux stuff.
Cool. So you spoke at React Miami, I think yesterday,
Yep.
right? How are you enjoying the conference?
It's been great. So I was at the first React Miami last year.
Nice.
And Gabe and Michelle and everybody else have done an amazing job. Conference has been a lot of fun, and it's always that mixture of actual work put into preparing the conference with just like you give people a reason to show up and good things happen. But every conference has like their own little vibe or feeling, and between the Miami stuff and like the people and just the setup, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really feels like a great conference. I really enjoy the single track as opposed to having a multi-track. But with the single track, everybody is seeing the same stuff. So the conversations are generally everybody is talking about the same thing, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So, do you have any experience with low-code platforms?
Zero. I am very much a deep dive into the code kind of developer.
Okay.
And so like my own experience is zero with low code kind of stuff.
When I say low code, what comes to mind?
A mixture of different things. If you go back far enough, you've got MS Access type database work. I know there's a bunch of newer platforms like Retool and other things. I'm aware these things exist. Like my own career track has just never gotten me involved in any of those.
Yeah, as a hardcore developer, you're doing the hardcore stuff, so you don't tend to think about things like low code platforms, right? If your manager came to you and said, "Listen, tomorrow we're working in low code. That's what we're doing from now on. With every new application, we're going to be using low code." What would your thoughts be? What would your honest thoughts be about it?
My honest thoughts would be, Jason, what in the world are you thinking? Because that's not going to work for our app.
Okay. So what would your concerns about the low code platform be?
Lack of experience would be the biggest thing. I spend a lot of time reading Hacker News and Reddit and stuff, so I know that things exist, and I toss them into the mental buckets of roughly what is that thing and what do I think it does. At Replay, we're building a time-traveling debugger for JavaScript applications. And there is a lot of very serious, gnarly, complicated code on all sides of your application.
Right.
And so knowing how complex that stuff is, my first assumption, without having touched any of them, would be that a low-code platform just would not be suitable for the kind of app that we need to build.
So yeah, I think the general assumption when it comes to low-code platforms is that because as a low-code platform, they have to make business decisions for you, then they usually end up getting in the way of that possibility.
Like my general working assumption is that something like that is a better fit for, I guess, what is classically called like a line of business application.
Okay.
You know, like internal tools, CRUD stuff. We have some internal database, need to pull it out and display it, maybe with some amount of interactivity. That's my general mental categories.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, definitely. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about?
I can think of a few things. My talk yesterday was about modern Redux with Redux toolkit.
Okay.
And the couple big themes there are like when Redux came out, it was widely used. It was too widely used. People shoved it in a lot of places it shouldn't have been. But Redux usage and our APIs have changed drastically in the last 3 years. And we've added a new package called Redux Toolkit, which is drastically easier to use than the old kind of like handwritten style patterns.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of people who don't even know that Redux Toolkit even exists.
Okay.
So just like, it exists. You should read our documentation. It's awesome. Another thing is the day job, Replay. So as I said a minute ago, we are a time-traveling debugger for JavaScript applications.
Interesting.
Basic idea is you use one of our Firefox or Chrome browser forks, record yourself using your application for a couple minutes. Click here, open that, click the button that accidentally makes everything go boom.
Yeah.
Once you have the recording, you can open it up in our dev tools and you can jump to any point in time in your recording. You can look at every line of code and see how many times it ran, what ran. You can add print statements and logging after the fact and see what would this have printed each time that line executed.
That's really cool.
You can see the elements tree, the React component tree. You can even see like a list of like click and keyboard events and jump to the code that handled that event if my code actually works correctly. And it makes debugging so much easier.
Right.
Like we dog food replay a replay on a daily basis. Like every issue we file has a replay recording attached to it, and if not, we yell at the person. And being able to see the recording, being able to see the comments the other person left on the recording about, hey, this spot looks suspicious or something. It just makes it so much easier as a developer to dive in and see what's going on and fix the problem.
Yeah.
So like it's an amazing tool, which is why I joined the company in the first place. And it's like people should try it out.
Yeah, it sounds like when you're debugging, one of the nightmares is that you go and then you hit a point where you're like, oh, I should know what's going on here. And so you put a break, like a console log in there, and then run it again and see what came out. But
yeah,
it sounds like
or you know, like really you have an idea where it is, you had the breakpoint, you whoops, I stepped one too far, and now you got to go back and start the whole process over.
Yeah, you can't go backwards. Yeah, that's
well,
really awesome.
You literally can go backwards in
replay. You
replay.
can with replay.
We literally have a step back button.
So where are they? They just go replay.io and they'll get there?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Thanks for taking the time to have a chat, Mark.
Happy to.